Alright, hey everybody and all you screaming firehawks out there, this is Rob here at Smirking Gun Reviews, back to talk more Expanse Season 4. Wow. So, we're on episode 3. It is called Subduction. Full spoilers if you haven't seen this episode. It's written by Dan Nowak and directed by David Petrarca. First things first. Yeah, I was saying murder, not Murtry. Sorry. The Gorman character is named Murtry. Sorry about that. Holy crap. Each one just keeps getting nuts. First thing I also wanted to say is I was rewatching the episodes and how much this made me feel like I was watching Mass Effect. The music made me feel like there was the scene with Bobby in the when she's having a drink with the guy on Mars, and that subtle like techno music made me think I was on the Citadel in Mass Effect, and the settlement makes me think that I'm like Holden and the Rossi are the crew of Shepard's crew, like visiting like one of the planets in that game. I don't know if anybody else is getting those vibes, man, but that's what it feels like when you go to these places that, like, you're looking for stuff like lithium, like mining lithium stuff, the stuff that you can get in the game by going around and drilling and mining stuff. They need to make the Mass Effect HD remaster, okay? That's all I'm going to say, and then we're getting into it. Fantastic episode, though. Avasarala is kicking ass. Bobbi is in over her head already. That's kind of disappointing. But hey, look, it's from the books, right? So, Amos, holy God, his depth of badassitude and no filter and just balls of steel just amazes me. Murtry is a great villain. And yeah, everything in between. And I do have everything broken down by people again. And so we're going to talk first about Bobbi, because I feel like this is the part that I kind of like. I wish was a little bit different than it is, but hey, it is what it is. I mean, I'm not complaining. I want her with our crew and not going through this, but that's just not how it works, right? So she finds out that from David that the drug dealers want a meeting with him. But when she goes there, it ends up being a kind of a trap. Kind of. They have David, this Dee Dee girl, and her boss, who they're holding him. They want the money they lost. And they just want her to leave a security door open. And I was just thinking, because first off, Dee Dee keeps opening her mouth, and it's like, just what you say, you're going to need some more makeup if you don't watch what you're saying. And I was just going like, fuck this. Not in like fuck these people, right? Like these focused drug dealers. And especially then when I see who her boss is, and then I get that feeling that I get every time I see this guy. Like, whether it was in The Punisher or Nurse Jackie, I always go, I never trusted the priest from The Sopranos. So, and here we go. His name is Isai, and he's a drug dealer, and he's holding David hostage, so Bobbi leaves a security door open in the docks where she works. So, she goes to do it. And I love it because this show always does these things where it's like, where you're telling, the smart move is to, instead of going through with this plan where you're telling her, Bobbi, don't do this, she doesn't. She doesn't go through with what they ask. She goes to the cops. She walks in, she says she wants to report a kidnapping. And just like, as she's saying it, I went, oh God, it's him. It's him. He's a cop. And like, boom, like right after I thought that, I hear you want to report a kidnapping. I'm like, son of a bitch. So like, even though she does the good thing that you want her to do, which is not go through with this plan and try to flip the script, he's the cop. He's a dirty cop, and he's selling and manufacturing focus drugs, and now he's into more stuff. You can tell he's into more shit. And I do like, though, she says, yeah, look, this better be a one-time thing, and next time you better bring a gun, because I don't want to shoot an unarmed man. So Bobbi, she goes into the place where they want. She sees the tight beam encryption modules. That's what they're taking. And she leaves the door open, and she spies on them, and then she instantly gets a message to meet. So she's able to track who they were, and they're OPA. They're belters. And it turns out that Isai is like smuggling stuff off of Mars to give to the belters and the OPA, which is like Fred Johnson and them, right? Or at least Anderson Dawes, right? And they want her to work for them. And I was just going, oh, no, don't do this. But again, if it's in the books, then I have no choice what happens. This isn't something that they'll just make up, right? So, so he gives David back, though. You know, he says, look, she tells him straight up, you're working with the OPA. You're taking stuff off of here. And it's not weapons, or at least not yet, but they're taking stuff from Mars to give to the belters to do God knows what with the OPA. And so for her, this isn't just kind of like just a crime, and potentially terrorism could be happening with whatever they're using, but it's again breaking her loyalty to Mars. And so we don't get a definitive answer, but this isn't looking good for Bobbi. They need, hopefully her character can get some sort of help or whatever, because she's by herself, man. She's by herself here. All of our other characters are doing other things, and they're preoccupied. So I'm afraid that if this is Bobbi's story, I just want her to just kick these guys' asses as quickly as she did in the second episode. Next up, we have Avasarala, who... I'm going to be looking for this on a daily basis, y'all. And that is, I'm going to be looking for a t-shirt that says, everybody gets a pony and a blowjob. I've seen this posted on Twitter, but I didn't know the context. I do now. So she's watching Nancy Gao, which is really close, like Nancy Gao, Julie Mao. I hope that nobody takes offense that I call that similar, but it just, Mao Gao just pops into my head. So Nancy Gao is running against her for the Secretary General job. Let's see, running against Avasarala, and so she's running for fucking prom queen, and she's trying to flip it on Avasarala, who's having none of it by the language she's using, of course. She's also informed about the lightning that's going on down on Ilus. Also, these names of places are sounding more and more like places from Mass Effect. Sorry, I'm going to try not to talk about Mass Effect so much. It's just, I think deep down I'm really, really wanting to play a good Mass Effect game again. But Nancy Gao comes in to give her resignation, and I love it. She says, yes, you want to tender your resignation. And she's like, oh, I'm surprised that you go for these, kind of formalities. And I'm just like, fuck you, bitch. Sorry. If Avasarala gets to say it, then I'm sorry. She's making me feel all sweary. So they're like, she says, oh, she wants to, our people call it New Terra. And she's like, does the name change what's happening down there on Ilus, you dumb bastards? So they both say that, oh, I can't wait to debate you. But I'm getting real bad vibes about this debate. This seems like one of those situations where the Nancy Gao character will pull some sort of like rabbit out of a hat kind of thing to flip the script on Avasarala. It just feels like one of those kind of Game of Thrones-y kind of situations where the worst possible thing all of a sudden happens. I don't know what that worst possible thing is, but Avasarala isn't messing around now because even though her husband does say a kind of thing that I don't know if it's meant to be a jab at coming to Amazon, on for the fourth season, but he says like you've already saved the galaxy or the universe once or the world. Any second act will only disappoint. I don't know if that's just written for in the book or if that's kind of like an inside joke about being on a new channel and trying to start the story from a new perspective, and that maybe this second act of the show on Amazon will disappoint. So far it won't, but I don't know if that's an inside joke or not. But she's convinced that Nancy Gao will create another Eros, and I 100,000% agree with her. And then after pulling it out of her assistant, she finds out that Nancy Gao jumped the line. She cheated at getting into the lottery, which means that somewhere down the line something funky happened, because it doesn't just happen that way. Some people wait decades, but she got this special recommendation to be specifically considered for this slot. So they plan on leaking that online discreetly. And again, that makes me feel like something's off here. That somehow this info, all this kind of like looking too perfectly at going after Gao is going to backfire somehow. I don't like it. I don't like feeling this way. But maybe I've just watched too many shows where bad things happen when they think everything is going to work out their way. And so that's Avasarala's part of everything. The rest of the episode we got to deal with Ilus, and I don't have everybody's stuff broken down because it's kind of one big thing that happened on Ilus. Oh, look at Amos, man. Amos. So the storms arrive in two ways on Ilus. Literal storms with lightning striking the settlement, blowing out power, and the storms where the Belters and the Inners from Mercury's guys are about to kill each other over him killing Coop, who gave a veiled threat to him after Mercury was asking about the 23 people that were killed. But the lightning is coming in a straight line, and so that's really interesting. Because they're like, what do they say? What's happening? And Alex is always in the background of these kind of conversations throughout this episode. He'll make a comment like when he's not on. So it's like Miller turned something on, and Amos says, "Well, you want me to shoot Morty? Want me to help this?" And Morty is, now that he's done this, he's cutting the Belters off completely, saying, get what we need, don't help them, don't give them anything, fuck them, basically. Which means, for the Belters, they're on their own. And this puts the Rossi crew in a weird position because they're kind of in the middle. Like, literally, they're not Inners, they're not Belters. I mean, they're a group of people that are both, but they're not there for this. They're here to find out if the place is safe for anyone. So they also have the term consistent lightning, which is not a regular thing. And Elvie is becoming, they're trying to keep her at an arm's length about things because they don't really know what they can really tell her. But she's figuring things out pretty quickly for herself. And she knows where it's coming from. It's coming from where Holden is. And they say, how did you get there so fast? And again, Alex in the background, because we're celebrities. So they've got that happening. Meanwhile, Amos, his eyes never go away from Mercury. He is just, he can look so nice. Amos can just be well, maybe not smiling, but just looking at you like this. and look intimidating as hell. Like he's just burning daggers into Mercury, and it's not making him very comfortable. Um, so Naomi's helping get the power back on, with these belters here. And the girl that she's talking to, this Lucia's daughter, she's talking about, oh, you went to university. I want to go to university. And it's like, this is our life here. And the husband kind of seems like, oh, she can do whatever she wants. It's like, it seems like Belters always seem to disagree on what Belters should or and can do. And it seems like they always they're fighting amongst themselves as well as, it's like they're not just fighting Mars and they're not just fighting Earth. They're fighting each other now even more because of this opportunity that they have out here. So like, the people, like I said, like what people like drummers say that they shouldn't even be down there. So like finding new identities, sticking to your old identities, it's a big, huge thing. And it's making my head hurt trying to keep it all together. Pulling a Homeland Security and listening in on everything the Belters are saying. And he knows that these guys are planning on moving on him. Meanwhile, Naomi is, quietly, discreetly trying to keep taking grav drugs just to keep on her feet. And here we're at this part where we're actually right exactly where I'm talking about. Amos needs a part that he doesn't have and Naomi doesn't have, so he sees that the inner people over there, they're not using their stuff. He goes and takes it. And they're like, well, hey man, what are you gonna do? Like it's ours. You can't take that over there. He's just like, okay, drop it. And well, then this happens. I mean, I could tell you what happens, but it's happening right behind you. So then the girl that he slept with, that he is sleeping with, I mean, it was just one night ago, so I guess slept with, singular, confronts him like, hey man, I'll shoot you, man. Don't make me have to shoot you over this. And he's like, well, you weren't using it and I'm taking it, and what does this mean, we're not fucking anymore? And I love her reaction because she's like, what? No. I mean, no. So he's just like, cool. Bye, see you later. So he just keeps going on. I just find it so funny. The lightning finally stops, and there are these crazy underground explosions. And so what's happening now is those thorns are turned on, and they are spinning and chewing up the earth. And it's making it look like earthquakes are happening, even though there's really no there's no plate activity. It's just these things just chewing up the ground, ripping the earth and moving. And so that's not good. And Mercury tries to intimidate Amos. Which, look, you got to kind of give it up to Mercury a little bit for going, well, you know what? Something's going to happen between us. I'm going to get in front of it. I'm going to try to, like, maybe, I don't know what he was really thinking. Maybe he thought he could intimidate Amos. Maybe he's just testing to see if Amos will blink. Amos never blinks, So he's like, I know what you are, man. You're a killer. And from one killer to another, don't ever try that shit with my people, because you're not going to like what happens to you. And then, then the second threat, well, something tells me that you and me, we're going to end up bloody by the end of this or whatever. And again, without missing a beat, he's just like, well, what about right now? I'm not doing anything right now. I'm fine. Right here, right now is good. Do you want to go? And so he leaves and dips. Well, they get the seismometers online so that they can see what's going on. And now they know that these things are tearing a line right to the settlement, and they're going to blow right through it. And so, Alex is like, hey, maybe it's time to call Miller and find out what we can do to maybe turn this stuff off. But like Holden says earlier, he's like, I don't think we can trust Miller anymore. Like, I don't know. He's not here. He didn't stop. He didn't tell us what was going to happen. He didn't stop it from happening. So we can't, if he's not, we can't really trust him, right? which I feel like, I don't think Miller knew what was going to happen because he seems very inquisitive. He's investigating. He doesn't. He's. I think the proto-molecule doesn't know, but it's also kind of indifferent in a way to their plight because it's more about the information rather than stepping in like some superhero to stop things. So Holden makes the decision to fire one of their torpedoes at it, which I was like, oh boy, every kind of sci-fi where this usually happens means something worse is about to happen. So they fire the torpedo, and the whole time I'm like, and it looked like nothing happens. But then everything slows to a stop, and the relic, the big thorn in the ground, blows up, kind of. Like, it just kind of stops. And so I'm like, did it work? I don't know, right? So, that's where we leave it with Ilus, but right at the end, the Belters are getting ready to make their move on Mercury. Sorry, God, all these names. And they're talking about Lucia being involved and whatever, and suddenly gas canisters fall in. I didn't know exactly what had happened at first, but gas canisters go in, they come rushing out. There's Mercury and his guys, and they just gun them down in cold blood. In front of everybody. And then Mercury gets in front of the guy. Does this answer your question? Kabloom. Because he had gone to her earlier, saying, I want your help. I don't want any more violence. I just want the truth. I didn't hear her give him the information unless she gave it to him later. I don't think she did, though. But he's been listening anyway. So he's killed now Coop and 3-4 other guys. So his body count's already up to 5. And I said, the Rocinante crew are specifically there to get involved, but I think this is pretty much forcing their hand. And I don't know if he's trying to force Amos's hand or what, or if he's just trying to flex his muscles. But things are going from bad to worse here, because I have a feeling that thorn stopping isn't just going to just solve itself. And hopefully Miller, the investigator, whatever he is, shows up here pretty soon with some answers about what's going on. But it's fantastic, and I can't wait to watch episode 4. Now, I am doling these out for myself, so I'm not going to have the next one up for maybe another day or so. So we'll be back with episode 4. But in the meantime, if you like this review, please hit the like button. If you're enjoying the content and you're not a subscriber, please become a subscriber. Like I've said before, we are running 2 contests concurrently. One for when we get to after episode 5. We're going to be giving away one of these Doors and Corner t-shirts. And then for the end of episode 10's review, we're going to be giving away a Blu-ray or DVD of season 1, 2, or 3 of your choice. All you have to do is be a subscriber and leave a comment on one of these videos. And then we will be getting back to you. We'll pick winners out of a hat for the people that comment and our subscribers, and we'll be giving away this stuff as it happens. I'm sorry, it's been a long day. So my words are starting to fail me, and I've still got to review Watchmen tonight because I'm recording this early. So anyway, you can hit the bell for all notifications. You can find me on Twitter, reviews_gun. If you want to follow me there, just see what ramblings I have to say on any given day. If you feel so inclined to make this channel better, I have a PayPal account. It's under paypal.me/smirkingunreviews, where the money that goes in there pays for getting better equipment so that this channel can start looking better and sounding better as time goes on. Because as you can see, I've got things on the lowest setting and we're still looking like crap. Well, not all crap, but kind of crappy when it buffers a little weird. So anyway, this is Rob at Smirking Gun Review saying have a great night, and we will see you on episode 4. Doors and Corners, kids. Peace out.